Welcome to Indie Learning Music Tutor, and I am your tutor, Harry. Today we are going to talk about something that is known as the groove grid. That is Scott Devine from Scott Bass Lessons wording for it. The grid in and of itself, the actual tool, has existed before he gave it that name. I don't even know if he actually gave it that name, but that's what he has always referred to it. So that's what I refer to it now out of habit. Here we can see a groove grid subdivided into sixteenths. Each one of the numbered lines is the downbeat, meaning when you put your heel down to count 1, 2, 3, 4. When you come down, that's where the name downbeat comes from. Just like the ends of each of these is the upbeat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Also, we have further subdivisions. We break down into sixteenths. There are two parts to the beat that are not a down and not an upbeat. It's in the middle. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4, so on and so forth. Things to note. At the end of the groove grid, where you hit the last of the 4, remember that there is a space. 4 E and 1 E and So keep that in mind when you are counting, that there is actually a gap there at the end. There is another type of subdivision that I am going to be covering in a different video, known as the triplet. We'll be covering the groove grid for the triplet. However, more in depth about the triplet and how it manifests itself in music, as far as straight feel, swing feel, and other things, are going to be covered in a video dedicated specifically to the triplet. So I am going to break out my trusty cajon and drop down so I can actually play it. Now, as far as playing rhythms on a groove grid, you can use your instrument turned upside down, you can use your lap, or if you have a percussion instrument, you can just use that. Just like the subdivision video, using the groove grid is inherently the same thing. Quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, and 4 E, and the same thing happens for our half notes, 1 E and 2 E, and so on and so forth. When we utilize the groove grid, it's really to help us visualize a groove that we are planning on playing with a piece of music. We can use it in conjunction with drums, we can use it in conjunction with any various guitar, bass, or traditional guitar, in order to understand where we are hitting our notes. And we're doing grooves on the groove grid. Some of the things to note is any place that's not marked on the groove grid should be counted as a rest. That's to say, it should not be considered to be held long or super short. When you're hitting a note, and if it's not marked on the groove grid, it's not there at all. When you're dealing with a string instrument, if you're using ghost notes, the ghost notes are rhythmic. So we try to include the ghost notes as well as the fully vocalized notes. Since I'm using a cajon, that's not so much of an issue. I guess I could ghost note that way, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to use the cajon traditional. So with our basic 16th note divided groove grid, we can easily see here 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that is one full measure. Those are each one note in a measure. So if you look at a piece of music, you'll notice that there's bars. In between those bars is a measure, and that is indicated here. You can expand out the groove grid as long as you want, or you could make it short. My suggestion is, at least in the beginning, to work on it measure by measure. I'd like to note that any backing tracks that appear in these videos or any graphics that I offer are available via the Patreon through the Musician Hero tier. It's a $15 tier. It gives you a sticker after 3 months. Woohoo! More importantly, it gives you access to backing tracks, graphics that are used in conjunction with these videos if you do not wish to go seek them out or create your own. I offer one-on-one lessons or one-on-one sessions where I work with you, answer your questions directly. We can more personally address your instrument issues, places where you can develop, places where you may need to polish, to work as far as your technique, as far as the basic skills surrounding your instrument. For subscribers, there's one free one-on-one every month that we can schedule, and then beyond that one free one-on-one every month, for an additional $10 each session, I offer more one-on-one lessons. The rate that I charge non-subscribers is $15 an hour, so there's a $5 savings, and feasibly you could book an hour a day for every day of the month for $300 or less, as opposed to a non-subscriber who would be paying $465 or less. So there's obviously a savings there. The Triplet Grid, which is shown here, subdivides each note by 3. And the way it works out, each quarter note gets subdivided by 3 eighth notes, which technically doesn't really work, so you're not really giving a full value of an eighth note. But when it's noted in notation, it's noted as a triplet with a 3, so you know that those notes you're going to have to pull a little bit short. How I label out either the 16th note or the triplet groove grid is more to the player's taste. If you prefer a different counting method, please feel free. The only thing that comes standard with this is that each subdivision is supposed to be equal in a straight scenario. There is something known as swing. We will be covering that in another video, but that's the long and short about the groove grid in and of itself. Populating the groove grid. Now, I had written up a small sample groove grid with a small sample of a groove. I have to write these up or I can't really play them because I'll lose track without a metronome or a backing track or a set of drums. So when I'm running them solo, I try to write them down so that this way I have them in front of me. Now, I would like you to work with me on this. I know it might be difficult to follow along with this because you don't have the groove in front of you, but you could easily just draw this up the same way I did, or if you have access to the Patreon, I would suggest taking the groove grid download that's in the Patreon and making a couple of copies and playing around with the grid in and of itself. Or I guess if you download it, you can convert it to a writable PDF and use a writable PDF to mark where your groove is going to be. So, with that said, our groove, the one I showed you, and I'll play this all on the bass drum. Our groove is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then we're back to 1. A little more up to speed, it would sound something like this. So let's try that again. And we can just loop it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so there's that as well. I could write up a triplet groove, but I'm going to do that stuff when I do the triplet course in and of itself. So there's that. My suggestion, either download a groove grid blank off of Google Images and use that, or if you are or wish to become a subscriber to the Patreon, take the graphic, populate it out, create grooves, and just work on them on your lap, work on them getting your body involved in the groove, because that's going to help you more than just being able to play the groove on an instrument. You'll notice whenever I am playing something, be it just counting out 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and I'm moving my head, I'm moving my shoulders. I'm not just moving my hands and not moving anything else. I know you can't see it very well because of the position I have to be for the cajon, but I'm also using my feet as well. These are all things to consider. The reason why I do these things is because I need to internalize that rhythm. Once I internalize that rhythm, I don't have to concentrate so much on keeping time. If I don't have to concentrate on keeping time, I can be more creative with my instrument within the parameters of that rhythm. This has been Harry. I am your tutor at Indie Learning Music Tutor, and have a great day.